sports fans? It's PBNC Sports Chaos. And you know what time it is? It's playoff time.
Finals time.
Finals. Yes, championship time. I'm sorry, Jim Moore, you never got to compete in the championship game or match, series, or whatever you want to call it. But yes, well, game for them in the NFL. So we got 2 rounds. We're going to have NHL. We get the Panthers versus the Oilers. By the way, I cannot believe it's been since 94 since the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup. Is that correct? Do I have that right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a long time. But you know what's interesting is I believe somewhere around 40% of the Stanley Cups that have been won, I don't know, it's like 100 years now, right? 101 years or something like that, have been by Canadian teams.
Well, the Canadians have a 32 or 34 by themselves, right? So there you go.
Right. And then you got the Maple Leafs who won a ton too back in the day. But yeah, it's interesting that almost 40% of all Stanley Cups have gone to Canadian teams, but not one in the last 30 years.
And by the way, the Oilers, if they win this, that's their 6th. They tie our Bruins for 4th, I believe, if I got that number right.
Oh yeah, yeah. Back in the Gretzky days, they won them all. They won, right?
Yeah, correct.
Oh.
All right,
Yeah.
so let's talk about the series. So the bad guys obviously got in. That's your Florida Panthers. The Oilers, who we would like to get in, got in because they're from Canada. They beat the Stars, thank God, because we didn't want 2 Dallas teams in the finals of both sports. And so here we are. By the way, I've got to say one thing right up now. I want to get this very clear. The 3 most obnoxious, pukish coaches in pro sports today are Nick Sirianni of the Eagles, none other than the Mavericks coach, Jason Kidd, and Paul Pukeface Maurice. So, PB,
I gotta say,
I don't like him. He talks too much trash. He whines too much. He's like Nancy Kerrigan. Why me? Why me? He's not a good guy. I'm sorry. He does not deserve the win. So go ahead, give your piece.
No, I was going to say, I'm surprised that first of all, you didn't put Mike McDaniel in that same category of coaches.
Well, yeah. You know why? Sirianni's a bigger whiner.
All right.
And he choked the championship. When Mike chokes the championship, then I'll put him in it.
Oh, okay. All right. No, I think the Panthers are the team to beat, obviously. I mean, they're the favorites going in. They beat the team that was holding the President's Trophy pretty handily, 6 games. One on the road when they had to win on the road. They've been a really good road team during these playoffs. I think they've only lost maybe 1 game or 2 games the entire playoffs thus far on the road. And they do it on all sides. I mean, they have a great offense. They have a great defense. They have good special teams. They have a good PK. They have a good power play. I do think Edmonton's got some firepower on offense. There's no question about that. But
well, I'll just say this. Let me add this. Do you believe that in championship series, players win championships?
I think in hockey, it's harder to say that as it is in other sports.
Well, first of all, it's harder than the NFL. 22 players, right?
Right.
NHL only has 6 guys on the ice.
Yeah, I think
so when
basketball,
you look at it, the best player in the game is Connor McDavid. The best wing in the game is Leon Draisaitl. And right now, one of the best defensemen in the game, offensively anyways, is Evan Bouchard. So when you have the 3 best offensive skilled players at all levels, that to me, that favors the Oilers.
Yeah, but you know what? When I look at all-around play, and it all starts with you got a back check, you also got a forward check, you got to win puck battles, right?
Agree, totally agree.
You got to make hits, you gotta wear the other team down, and then let's look at one of the keyest factor probably in this whole thing. You got one Bobrovsky on one side, and then you have Skinner on the other side, and I think that's the difference.
I agree. That's a big difference.
That's where it starts to really separate, the 2 teams. But I'm not going to sit here and say the Panthers have a better offense than Edmonton necessarily. I think they're a little bit more well-rounded. I think they're deeper with their lines, and that'll help them out. And I just think they're a better defensive team as well. They block shots. They 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 get in your shooting lanes. They frustrate you. They're great on special teams. You can't get in the box if you're Edmonton. You're gonna lose a series. So there's just too many things going for the Panthers right now.
Wait a minute, help me out for a second. Hello. I don't recall Bobby Orr, Ray Bourque, or Brad Park being on the defense for the Florida Panthers. So how great is the defense really? I mean, seriously, none of those guys are going to ever win a Norris Trophy. So how great is that defense?
I think it's up there. I mean, I really do.
And by the way, Bobrovsky, last I know, they don't call him Ken Dryden anyplace.
Yeah, well, hey, we'll see. The Panthers have never won the Stanley Cup. Never. So this would be their first one if they do it.
By the way, Paul Maurice is their coach, so I got him going 0-3. That's all I'm going to say.
You mean 0-4?
Is this their fourth? I thought they only played in 3 Stanley Cups finals.
Oh, I thought you meant like losing in 4 games.
No, three Stanley Cups.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
They're
right.
going to win some games. This is going to go 7, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, game 7 will be back in Florida, but yeah, they did. They went back in the 90s, I think, and they lost, and then they lost last year.
96, I think, yeah. And then they lost last year. Right.
Yeah, to the Knights.
So you're telling me what?
I'm telling you that the Panthers are going to win the series. I agree with you that it might go 7. It may go 6. That's what I got.
So for the Panthers to win this Stanley Cup final, who's going to be the MVP? Is the Conn Smythe in the I forget in the end of playoffs? It was the Conn Smythe the regular season.
I think Conn Smythe's the regular season MVP.
Right.
I forget what it's called. I would go. I mean, obvious answers are, Keith Tkachuk and Sam Reinhart would probably be your 2 odds-on favorite to win that MVP. So I would put them right up there with, and then you got Barkov too. You can't count Barkov out, captain, right? So you got 3 guys: Barkov, Reinhart, and Tkachuk, who can definitely go toe-to-toe with guys like McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman.
Well, that alone, right? That alone, if Florida wins, to be the only Stanley Cup MVP at that point in time, is going to be Bobrovsky.
Well, that's another good point. Depending on how these games go, it very well could be Bobrovsky too.
Yeah. To me, if Connor McDavid plays what people say he is, the greatest player in the game today, then Edmonton wins. But by the way, if Edmonton doesn't win, I know he's still young. Connor McDavid, I believe, is only 27, but he's been in the league 7 years, right? I think he came in as a 20-year-old.
Wow. Okay.
So does he have a lot of pressure on him to win this thing right now?
I mean, windows can open and close pretty quickly. I mean, we just saw, everyone thought when Bergeron retired and they couldn't win one with Bergeron that they were gonna. Well, they did win back in 2011, but they couldn't win that next one with Bergeron that they were gonna. That window was closing, but they've proven they've made the playoffs. They continue to make the playoffs every single year. Last year is the President's Trophy winner, so you can't. I don't know. I wouldn't. You just got to keep building your team around him and know that he's going to play. You can play into your 30s and still be very effective in the NHL.
All right, so you got the Panthers winning.
I do 6. I'll say Panthers in 6 for the record. They win on road ice up in Canada.
Ooh, man! I'm going to Edmonton the other way. 6 games.
You're gonna say 6? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, because I don't want them to have to go back to Florida. You're right, because the ice might be soggy, it might be melting down there. Hockey's not meant to be played in Florida, so let's just get over that. All right, let's talk about the other big one for us locals. Celtics, Mavs. Mavs put an end to the end of the Timberwolves. Celtics sweep their series. What do you think at this point in time, PB? What's your early thoughts on this series?
Yeah, I mean, analysts are saying, the Celtics have had a cakewalk and they haven't really been challenged to this point through the playoffs. And they got to be careful here. The way I look at it is they're still playing a lower seeded team. I mean, all the top seeds in the West were gone. The OKC's gone, Minnesota's gone, Denver's gone. And I think Denver was probably the team that matched up the best against the Celtics, and that was the team I was afraid of the most.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're gone, I think, helps them. Celtics have won what? They've won in 2 series in 5 games and 1 sweep.
Yep.
Thus far. I don't know. I don't see, and they're undefeated on the road, right?
They
They
are?
haven't lost,
Yes,
they haven't lost
correct.
on the road yet.
Yep.
I don't see the series going long. I'm sorry, people. I mean, if the Celtics sweep the series, I would not be surprised at all. I'll go on the record saying Celtics in 5, though, so that they win that back home. It's definitely not going 7. If it does go 6, I think the Celtics are very capable of winning game 6 in Dallas, but I'm looking at a 5-game series here.
So, PB, I'll add, here's my thoughts. So, first of all, I'm very nervous the fact that they've had, 9 days off going into, I think it's 9 or 11 going off to
Yeah.
this. Young guys do not fare well at long rests. Other than Porzingis and Al Horford, who can appreciate this rest, he's 38 years old as a Monday. That's a big help. And Porzingis being hurt, it helps a lot for those two guys. But Jalen and Jason and Derek and Drew and Peyton and all the bench, Russ will show. I hate to say it, but I think Russ. And by the way, Joe Mazzulla, who's also young, maybe he gets a little rusty because he doesn't have time to think about the game. I'm concerned about that. But on the other hand,
Dallas also had 7 days. They won on Thursday night
correct.
last week, so
Correct.
they've also had a week's rest.
But Luca and Kyrie have been around, and Luca's banged up. Kyrie is whatever he is, right? I don't know. So they can appreciate the rest, I think, much better than the Celtics. Porzingis is the wild card, right? He's been out for almost he's missed 10 playoff games, right? He's been out since the end of April. That's the wild card. He has to play because all of a sudden, if you asked me about this series 2 months ago, I would have said Celtics are sweeping this thing. But all of a sudden, PJ Washington, Derek Lively, the rookie, these guys, PJ came in a trade in midseason along with the kid Gafford, Daniel Gafford. They are suddenly looking very stout on the interior. They're long and lengthy, which that was my fear with Minnesota. I told you this 2 weeks ago about my fear of Minnesota as well as Denver. If they were the team. Length hurts the Celtics. So they've got length. That concerns me a lot with this team. The other thing that concerns me is, does Jason and Jalen read their pressure clippings too much during their off time? Do they want to play hero ball? If they can't keep the game in rhythm and play, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi before they decide to do something with the ball, that hurts that team. Do you agree?
Yeah. You do start to see mistakes when they try to play hero ball, to your point, and force plays, right? But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be the Celtics defense. I think they're going to really bear down on this Dallas team. They're going to create turnovers. Who do you think would be the matchup on Luca and on Kyrie? Who do you think is going to be the matchup? I think you put Drew Holiday on one of those two guys.
Well, Drew's going to play. I think he's going to play Kyrie, the off guard. Derek's going to start with Luca, but they're going to switch. There's one thing the Celtics can do. They can switch 1 to 5 because they're very athletic. So you could put Jalen against Luca. You could put Jason against Luca. It's not going to look like Rudy Gobert out there when Luca was celebrating because he hit a shot over Rudy because Rudy was too slow. Maybe the only weakness would be Horford, but he's still long. Same thing with Porzingis because you don't know what his calf's going to be like, but he's still long. But I think if you could guard Luca, one of those other 3, and leave Drew on Kyrie and take Kyrie completely out of the game, much different story at that point in time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and that's where this thing could be different. I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics come out tomorrow and win by 20. I mean, I really wouldn't. It's not going to surprise me.
But PB, they can't lose game 2 like they did in the first 2 series. Do you agree?
No, I don't agree because the Celtics haven't lost on the road yet. They haven't lost a game on the road. If they lose game 2,
good point.
They'll go down to Dallas and probably worst case split down there, and it's a 2-2 series. 2 out of 3 with 2 games at home. That's like worst case scenario. They're not going to drop 2 in Dallas.
We hope not. But by the way, if they do, the 2 guys with the most pressure in sports right now in any league has to be Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They've been playing together for 7+ years right now. They've been in the finals. This is their second time. The conference finals 5 times. If those 2 guys, if they can't put this one together, their window's closed, I think, because the Celtics have to break them up, don't you think?
Maybe. I mean, yeah. I mean, but the same on the other side of it, they've made 3 conference championships in a row, right? Won 2 of them. They've been there, to your point, 5 of the last 7 years or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a team that's, showing, it's kind of like the Atlanta Braves of the 90s, that went to the
That's
World
my fear. So much talent, but can't get over this is, oh my God, this is something the Braves, forget it. This is ridiculous. Oh my God. All right, last thing, parting shot. Kyrie seems to think people aren't going to think about 4 years ago anymore. What do you think?
No, it's not true. He's going to get his ass booed big time, right?
Is he not? Yes, you've been here many times in the Boston Garden. You remember, right?
He's going to get booed out of the place. Yeah, there's no question about it. He's going to get mocked every time he has the ball. If he misses a free throw, I can already hear the Irving or Kyrie chants, I mean,
Yeah.
every time if he throws up an air ball, forget about it, right? I mean, he's just going to get heckled like crazy.
So I want to turn for 1 second before we wrap up. What do the Mavericks do to win this series, if they can? What do you think it is?
Man, they gotta. I mean, I said that the key was the defense of the Celtics kind of bearing down on them. So that would lead me to think that they gotta avoid turnovers. Right? They
Yep.
gotta spread the ball. And I think they have to have other people step up besides Luca and besides Kyrie. If they're just relying on those two, the Celtics are going to figure out a way to shut them down.
And
So
you know what,
someone else is
PB?
going to have to step up.
You just said my worst fear because they started to do that in these last two series. They spread the ball around. The three guys I just mentioned, Gafford, Lively, and Washington,
PJ.
have all been more into the game. And for the first time, I think, since they've been together, Kyrie and Luca, they're not afraid to pass the ball to somebody else other than themselves. That's my biggest fear. You just hit the nail right on the head right now. And so the Celtics have to play good team ball at the end of the day, right?
For sure.
All right, man. So you got Celtics in, you said 5 or 4?
5. I get Celtics in 5. Yeah.
Wow. All right, I'm going to go. No, you know what? If it's 6, it's in Dallas. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go 6. You know why? Because it's in Dallas. We're going to win on the road.
Yeah. All right.
All right, man. All right. Any other parting shots?
No. We'll pick this up again next week when we have our, we'll know where the series are. There'll be a couple games played and we'll really have another take on everything.
And by the way, we could talk about Justin Jefferson's like outrageous contract for a wide receiver, right?
Wide receivers are where it's at in the NFL right now. They're making
Oh,
money.
man. Yes. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
See you.